Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, your weekly look into the Cardinal football program. I'm Jacob Rodriguez, and the Cardinals are coming off a 21-7 win over Alfred University on Saturday, improving to 3-1. In this episode, we'll preview the annual Courage Bowl against SUNY Brockport, but first, let's take a look at the highlight.
The story of this game was the Cardinal defense. Alfred receives the kickoff, and on 2nd and 3, Tim Vandenbrink punches one out. Fumble is jumped on by Trent Hill. Fisher takes over. A few plays into the first Fisher drive, Camden Chance breaks one open for a house call, 7-0 St. John Fisher. Alfred on their own 24, a costly miscommunication between Chris Kelly and Bidwell leads to another Saxons turnover. The Cardinals capitalized on a short field, finding the end zone on their first two drives of the game after Mason Lister put his body on the line for 14-0 Cardinals. The Saxons now looking for a response. Chris Kelly finds a hole in the zone and connects for 26 yards to Johnny Roseberry. Alfred would make it a one-score game after a touchdown pass to Carmine Hogue, 14-7. Now here is when the Cardinal defense really turned up the intensity. Pass complete to Hogue, down at the 1-yard line. Then, with their backs against the wall, the Cardinal defense stuffs 4 straight run plays for a turnover on downs. In the third, Saxons in the red zone again. Kelly to Roseberry, who is brought down at the 2. On 4th and goal, Alfred tries some trickery, but it's blown up in the backfield by Colin Faust for a loss of 13 and a turnover on downs. Alfred's offense continued to threaten. Kelly has his man but misses high, and the tip was snared by a diving Colin Clark. Late in the 4th, Fisher trying to run the clock out, holding on to a 7-point advantage. Deontay Hall to the ground for a pickup of 11. A few plays later, Hall breaks a few tackles and bulldozes through the defense to put the game out of reach. Fisher improves to 3-1 and matches their win total from last season. Final score, Fisher 21, Alfred 7. Let's kick it to the interviews.
Joining us now for another episode of Fisher Football Focus is head coach Ed Raby. Coach, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of guys contributed in the win on Saturday, and it was a great team win. We have to highlight the defense, who allowed just 7 points and caused 4 turnovers in this game, including 2 goal line stands. What can you say about how this defense is shaping out?
I'm really proud of our guys on defense. You know, we had a rough game against U of R. Thought we didn't play very well. Thought we didn't coach very well that game. So it was a big bounce back week for us defensively. I think the big thing that we learn from our guys every week is we're very resilient. You know, it wasn't a perfect game defensively, but we knuckled down, especially in the red zone. We've been playing pretty good red zone defense pretty much all year. So I was very, very proud of our guys and how we responded this week.
And you captured your first conference win this past weekend. Obviously, you want to win them all, and you've told us that it's just 1 week at a time, but are games against E8 opponents more important?
Well, they're more important in the sense that they count towards league play, but every game is important. You know, it is 1 week at a time, and the Empire 8 is very, very challenging. So you can never look ahead. You know, every team is going to be very prepared to play, and every team's got great players and great coaches. So we're on to the next one, and we're just focused on Brockport this week.
Is the preparation for opponents that you're familiar with, and most notably in the Empire 8, is that preparation more thorough, would you say, than, say, you know, an FDU forum that you don't play necessarily very often?
Yeah, I don't know if it's more thorough, but definitely we know each other. You know, a lot of the coaches in our league, we've been coaching against each other for quite some time. There are some new head coaches in our league, but we all kind of know each other, so we know each other's tendencies. We've been playing against each other for a long time. So I think from that standpoint, because the players and the coaches know each other, there is a little bit more like familiarity when you go play a game, and so you got to be, execution becomes a premium, you know.
What did you think of Lister's performance on Saturday?
I think if you talk to Lister and our coaching staff, he definitely did some good things. Felt like he could have played a little bit better himself. I know he would tell you the same thing, but you know, he definitely stepped up in big moments. And the big thing about Lister is, you know, he's going to lay it on the line, just like all of our guys. I think that's the big thing from our team is the guys are playing hard for each other, and they're giving us everything that they have, right? And we talk about, you know, when you empty the tank, you know, that's a big thing we've been talking about. So Mason definitely did some good things. He definitely did some things that he wants to clean up, and our staff wants to clean up. So it's just about getting better this week.
And so is he going to get another start this week against Brockport?
Yeah, he's going to be starting this week against Brockport. He's been doing a good job. And, you know, again, I think we're very, very, you know, fortunate at the quarterback position. You know, we have a lot of guys that I think can play.
What's your assessment? You guys obviously played a great game overall, but what's your assessment of the penalties this game? And I think it was 8 penalties for 75 total yards.
Yeah, the penalty has been a huge problem for us all year. I think the big thing that was problematic about this game is we had 5 pre or post snap penalties, So, if you get a penalty, holding, PI, whatever it is, that's sometimes okay, right? Guys are playing hard. But we had too many pre and post snap penalties, and that's something that if you keep doing that, especially against, you start getting into league play and play some teams that are top 25, it can be a little bit challenging, So we have to eliminate the pre and post snap penalties and just in general be a better team when it comes to penalties because we've been struggling in that area.
Brockport's defense has allowed just under 6 points a game against Fisher dating back to 2017. How confident are you in this iteration of Fisher football to come out with a win against a tough Brockport program?
Well, I'm confident in our guys that we're going to play a great game. We're going to prepare hard. We're going to talk about being the best version of ourselves. We should definitely continue to get better. And we're going to bring everything we got to the table, And I know Brockport's going to be ready to go. They're well coached, and their players are very talented, and they're going to play their tails off too. So it's going to be a battle, and, we're not going to worry so much about the outcome. We're going to worry about being the best version of ourselves and playing one play at a time.
Thanks again to head coach Ed Raby for joining us on the show. Coach, best of luck in the Courage Bowl.
Thank you.
Joining us now on Fisher Football Focus is starting center Eli Williams. Eli, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
First off, just tell us a little about yourself, where you're from, what's your major, and what do you want to do when you graduate?
So like you said, my name is Elijah Williams. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I went to Cleveland Hall High School. I'm a sport management major with a minor in media and communication. And yeah, it's just a little bit about me.
What do you want to do when you graduate?
When I graduate, I'm really interested in creative services. So a lot of things regarding social media, videography, photography, graphic design. So looking to get into a realm with, a major professional sports team potentially, and, intern with them and learn some things and see what that can turn into maybe a long-term opportunity down the road.
What have you noticed? What kind of changes have you noticed in this football program from last year to this year?
I'll definitely say that this year, I believe there's a little bit more focus. Guys are definitely a little bit more in tune to what we want to do as a team, and the goals we've set as a team. And I think guys this year are really taking that to heart. But I think another thing that is big this year is guys stepping up to play for one another. Not just only playing for those goals or those recognitions, but playing for the guys next to us. And, doing everything we can to make sure that not only are you succeeding as yourself, but you're succeeding with your teammates as well.
So how did 10 games last year as a starter impact your development and prepare you better for this season?
I think having that experience, already playing a lot of these teams that are on our schedule this year just gives me a little bit more knowledge to give to some of the players on our team playing this year that may not have played with us last year, to be able to give a little bit more insight to maybe some of the things you can't always see, when you're not out there. So making sure that, we're relaying those messages and we're all on the same page and helping those guys out as much as I can.
Would you say you take that on as a responsibility, being a senior on this team, that you feel it's your job to be a leader of this group?
I'll definitely say that's something I've taken seriously, and I do think there's responsibility on a lot of the more, experienced individuals on the team to be able to give back and help out the younger guys. I know when I was a freshman and, didn't always know what was going on, I had a great cohort of seniors and older guys and the offensive line room who were able to help me. And, it's a blessing that those guys are able to have experiences, but also use the lessons they learn from those experiences to help us out too.
What's your impression of the team, and how determined do you think this group is?
I think we're very determined. I mean, right now, not to, look too much in the record, but it's week 4, we have the same amount of wins right now as we did last year. So I think that's a testament to a lot of the hard work and dedication that guys put in, and a lot of the passion that guys are really out there, trying their hardest, and we want to win, and, the results are speaking for themselves.
And what's your impression of Coach Raby's impact on this program coming in as a first-year head coach here?
Coach Raby's been amazing. I mean, his ability to lead and, not only set a vision, but to do the right things and lead us to do the right things day in and day out. every week to make sure we're on the right path towards that vision, I think is amazing. And I think with the leadership we have in the coach's office, I think that leadership trickles down right to our players and allows us to be, focused on all the right things.
What's your goal for the season in your final year with this Cardinal football program?
My biggest goal, there's been a goal since freshman year, is to play past week 10, play in the postseason. That's something that I feel like we're more than capable of doing. That's something I feel like we have the right pieces in place. I think I'm not the only one that wants that goal. We definitely want to be, playing past our schedule that's put out before the year, but just making sure we're doing the right things week in and week out, winning each week to compound a great season together.
We thank Eli Williams for joining us on the show. Eli, best of luck heading into the Courage Bowl.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Joining me now on Fisher Football Focus is head coach of SUNY Brockport football, Coach Mangone. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been the head coach since 2013. What kind of culture have you worked to build within the program, and how do you expect that to show up on the field on a game-to-game basis?
Yeah, I think we're a competitive-based, effort-based deal here. We're obviously concerned with performance, certainly, because that usually dictates the outcome of games. But our focus on really preparing the right way and then giving great effort every day. And we believe if we prepare correctly and we give great effort, and then in the off season, we do a good job of identifying, connecting with, and getting good young men to commit to our program, the results will take care of themselves. So when you watch us play, we want you to see and feel our effort and our want to and our brotherhood, and that should come across every time we step on the field.
And you've coached 133 all-conference players, 41 all-regional, and 12 D3Football.com All-Americans during your tenure. What is it about you and your program that just churns out talent year after year?
I think the big thing is first and foremost, it starts with our staff. I think we've got a great connectivity. We have had guys from the minute that I've took over that have joined this program that have done a fantastic job in doing what I kind of mentioned a minute ago, connecting with kids. I think you get into this because you love the relationships. Certainly football is a huge part of what we love, but I think the older you get, the more you do this, the relationships are kind of the forefront of our focus. And when you can connect with a kid, I think you can coach them harder. And you don't coach them harder to demean them by no means. You're coaching them hard to take them to places where maybe they're not so comfortable to get to. And right. I think when you first can turn on somebody's film and certainly see their talent level, you say, okay, this kid can do this now, but when I get a hold of them, they're going to be able to do this. And that's our goal. Take them from step A to maybe step Z as fast as we can, and develop and nurture and obviously challenge.
When you look at Fisher's football team this season, what strengths jump out to you as keys to preparing for them?
Energy. Whenever there's a new coach in a program, and I have the utmost respect for Coach Vosberg. He treated me unbelievably fairly when I was an assistant coach. He did look at me different when I was an assistant or a head coach, and some people do that for whatever reason. He was very genuine human being. He loved his kids, and he had a terrific run as the head coach there. And now that you have Coach Raby in there, he's a guy that we've competed against at previous stops, so we're familiar with him. In terms of his personality, great guy. And I think he's a guy that's going to be perfect to lead this program going forward. But there's a sense of fresh air. Currently 3 wins, which I think equates what they had all of last year. So, yeah, their energy level, how they're running around the field, they're feeling good about themselves as they should be. I think that stands out on film.
What does the Courage Bowl mean to you personally and to Brockport as a program, knowing the impact that it has on Camp Good Days and the Rochester community?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's something that we've been very blessed and honored to be a part of. I think I didn't know kind of how big Camp Good Days was prior to this, and it's really opened my eyes to what they have done and what they continue to do and what they're going to do for a long time behind Gary and Wendy Mervis. We've had the luxury of having a lot of good young people that have been on our sidelines as captains and have grown close to a handful of them. Unfortunately, we just lost Lucas Lowe this past summer, who was a captain for us for many years and probably on our sideline for collectively over 50 home games and away games. He was there in our Final Four run in 17 with us. Has a championship ring that we gave him for that season because he was just as much a part of it as anybody that stepped on the field. And it's always, for me, when we started this journey with Camp Good Days in St. John Fisher, my two boys were, I would say 5 and 4, 6 and 5, somewhere in that range. So it was really humbling to see young people battling things that we can't imagine. And sometimes we take our health for granted, and we're focused on maybe being tired in a Tuesday practice rather than what these young kids have to experience and their families, right? It's not just the individual, it's the collective family. So whenever we have an opportunity to be around one of these young people and see them smile from ear to ear the entire time, I think we do whatever is possible on our end to continue to make them smile from not just that day or a few hours, but for as long as we possibly can, and hope that they come back and watch us again.
You've been able to hold down Fisher's offense mightily in recent history. What do you attribute that to?
I think, if you look at our program, we've been very strong defensively for a while, and Mike Fox and the rest of his staff, our staff, do a fantastic job of again, preparing, organizing, putting a plan together, and letting our kids go out, play free of mind, and just let their abilities take over. But with that being said, right, a whole new regime, obviously new coaching staff here at St. John Fisher. The self-belief that they can go out and be successful is something that's very, very powerful. I've been on the end of the good, bad, and the ugly here at Brockport, where sometimes you're going in to try to keep the game close. Thankfully, has never been in the recent past that it is, but they have a belief that they can go out and score points, and obviously we have to match and exceed that belief, match and exceed that energy level, and obviously play free of mind ourselves.
Last question for you, Coach. When your players look back years from now, what do you hope they remember most about having played in the Courage Bowl for however long their careers were at Brockport?
What an impact you can make on somebody else. I think sometimes you're so focused on your daily activities, what you need to do individually to become successful, which is obviously imperative in anybody's life. But I think you can really make an impact in your own life by making an impact in somebody else's. And, one thing we always tell people is we're not going to treat everybody the same. People come from different demographics, different areas, different problems. You can never walk in somebody else's shoes. So you should never judge somebody else because you have no idea what they're going through. And this is one of those examples where, these young people are battling things that we can't imagine. And if we can positively influence not just their day, but their week, hopefully their month and their life, that's something that's very, very powerful.
Coach, thanks for taking the time today, and best of luck in the Courage Bowl and the rest of the way.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
That's all for this week's episode of Fisher Football Focus. As always, we thank all of our guests for joining us. Let us know who you want to see next on the show. I'm Jacob Rodriguez, and as always, go Cardinals!